Hello and welcome to the 9th episode of our 2022 Vitality T20 Blast preview shows in association with our friends at the Cricket Draft. My name is Aaron, aka the Cricket Connoisseur, and joining me on my screen for tonight's episode of TCCP X, the Cricket Draft, is of course the sceptical cricketer himself, Mr. Rory Law, in the top left-hand side of your screen. And then at the bottom of your screen is of course Cricket Dino himself, Mr. Dinesh Mahabir. So gents, first things first, obviously an absolute pleasure to get you back onto the show. Show number 9. It has gone very, very quickly, hasn't it, chaps? The T20 Blast is almost ended at this stage. We're at the quarterfinals. It's gone incredibly quickly. But I'll tell you what, we've got some great, great games on our hands heading into this upcoming week. But before we look at the quarterfinals, we look at the schedule, and of course, we go to Rory for his week overview. We do have to look back on game week 8. The last week of the 2022 T20 Blast group stages, which saw a brand new leader in the County Cricket Podcast's Cricket Draft Fantasy League. So congratulations to Brent Bentley, 13,665 points. Absolutely phenomenal. Really, really is. And unfortunately, that does mean that James Swift's reign at the top of the TCCP Fantasy Draft table is at an end for the time being. But you know what's the quarterfinals? It's the knockout rounds. Who knows? Anything is possible. But talking of those quarterfinals then, before we look at the cricket draft and we go through our analyst picks and of course our analyst 11s, let's have a look at the schedule for the 2022 Vitality T20 Blast quarterfinals. So on Wednesday, the 6th of July, Surrey will take on the Yorkshire Vikings at the Kia Oval. Then on Thursday, the 7th of July, my beloved Birmingham Bears will take on James Vince's Hampshire Hawks at Fortress Edgbaston. On Friday, the 8th of July, the Lancashire Lightning will take on the Essex Eagles at Emirates Old Trafford. And the fourth and final of the 2022 T20 Blast quarterfinals will see Somerset take on the Derbyshire Falcons at the Cooper Associates County Ground in Taunton. So, Rory, looking at those quarterfinals, and of course the key trends, the pieces of news, the patterns, everything we need to know heading into game week 9 for the cricket draft, what are you going to say for your week overview, mate? What should we be looking out for heading into this week's round of fixtures?
So obviously we've got news of the England T20 squad. They are very unlikely to play in the quarterfinals, so make sure you've got rid of some of those players, particularly players like David Willey, who are obviously very tempting for that quarterfinal, very unlikely to play. So it's worth just keeping an eye on those things. Other thing that is of relevance is it kind of depends where you are at the leaderboard at this point. If you're at the top of the leaderboard, it's probably a good idea to stay safe, have players from every single one of those teams. If you're a bit further down, like myself, slightly going and committing with some of the teams that you think are going to make finals day, not the worst shout. So, for example, my tip to win and make sure that they get into finals day would be Essex. So, getting some Essex players. You look at me with surprise. I've got reason behind the logic. Lancashire losing 5 players. So, kind of banking on those teams that you think are going to make finals day might be a useful way of just getting a few extra points and gaining those few extra places. And the final thing is these pitches are getting used. English summer, long summer, a lot of cricket. They're getting used, they're getting harder to bat on as they go on, and they're going to start turning. So I would recommend getting yourself some spinners, particularly wrist spinners. I hopped on the wrist spin train a bit too early, but I think now's the time to get involved. So wrist spinners, finger spinners, spinners who are good on turning tracks, say like a Liam Dawson, probably quite good picks this week. So definitely worth thinking about.
Absolutely, Rory. And to be honest, I'm on that leg spin and off spin train. The hype train is here, isn't it? It is the height of the summer. And of course, with those used wickets, they will definitely come into consideration heading into these quarterfinals. And of course, you've got some excellent spin bowlers on display across all 8 teams in the knockout rounds. And talking of those teams then, let's talk about our teams for this week. Let's go in to the analyst picks. And of course, you should know by now, viewers, how this works. We do, of course, start with our banker, which is the marquee name, the player who you should captain heading into this week's quarterfinal fixtures. So, Dino, I'll start with you first, mate. Who have you selected as your marquee name, the real big superstar heading into the quarterfinals?
Well, no surprise, guys. I've gone with Sunil Narayan, my fellow countryman. He didn't play in the last game. I went to Instagram, saw him on the barber shop. So I was like, what's happening with Narayan? But listen, he's Mr. Reliable. He's been with the ball so reliable this season. There's no explanation necessary. Does he give you something with the bat? We have to be careful. I did mention before he's a duck candidate, but this is the knockout time. I think this is the business end of the tournament. Now, Ryan is my banker. There's no other person I can put my faith in right now who I just know he's going to deliver with the ball. I mean, who's going to tear him apart? We'll see. It's the knockout stages. It's the quarterfinals. No one has done it this thus far. No one did it in the IPL. No one's done it so far in this tournament. So it's got to be Narayan for me, and that's West Indian bias for your money, all right? But that's my banker, and yeah, I feel pretty confident about that.
Well, fair play, Dino. And of course, just looking at the stats on screen, that is not a typo. That really has been on the screen basically for every single show. The most economical bowler in the 2022 Vitality T20 Blast. He's been the most economical bowler throughout the entire tournament. It seems like a 5.91 economy rate is absolutely staggering. Of course, 13 wickets to boot as well. Dino, I'd agree with that. He's in my team for this week as well, at the Oval, in front of a home crowd. Big occasion, under the lights, on Sky Sports. Yeah, I've also gone with Sunil Narayan as my captain for this week. Rory, what about yourself though, mates? Looking at your squad, you seem to have gone down a different avenue heading into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have Sunil Narayan. I do think he is a very important pick, but I've gone with Wayne Madsen of Derbyshire. I'm a Somerset fan. I've seen us bowl. I'm well aware that Wayne Madsen could tear us to pieces, and he played a fantastic knock in that final group game. Bowled some handy off spin. Somerset definitely a pace hitting side, so off spin, a bit of darty off spin could go quite reasonably, I think, at Taunton. But he's mainly there for the batting for me. I think Taunton scores have been massive. It's always a run fest. You've got Derbyshire's in-form man. Could well be batting a bit up the order with Shan Masood off on Pakistan duty. It's possible. But at the price you're getting him at, 107k, I think he's a must-have this week. And I do also, Derbyshire, small tip to beat Somerset.
Seriously, coming from the resident Somerset fan from the cricket draft.
I think they've got. I'm a big fan of Hilton Cartwright's as well. I think Derbyshire could have some power hitting to trouble us.
Goodness me, that's an interesting one, Rory. I was not expecting that at all. You wouldn't see me vouching against the Bears on this show. Goodness me. Fair play, though. Fair play. Sometimes you do just have to tip the cap, I suppose. And Wayne Madsen, what a player. Over 13,000 career runs for Derbyshire, the club's all-time leading T20 run scorer. And of course, in the absence of Shan Masood, the responsibility will be on him to score a lot more runs at a pronounced strike rate. So, yeah, I do think Wayne Madsen, small boundaries in Taunton, I do think he could be quite the dangerous pick heading into this week's quarterfinal at the Cooper Associates County Ground. But aside from our marquee name then, the banker for the quarterfinals, let's move on to the one to watch, our under-25 player for the week. And Dino, if I may just say so myself, I really, really rate your pick. So just for the viewers, who did you select as your under-25 player for this week's fixtures?
Yeah, this week I'm going with the spin, like Rory mentioned. I think the spinners are going to be key in this phase of the tournament. And it's Tom Hartley from the Lightning. I've had a look at him, left-arm orthodox. He did the business. He's opened the bowling a couple of times, which is interesting to me. He comes up against a team that's full of right-handers, so it'll be interesting to see those matchups. I've been paying attention to it. He's 23 years old, just 4% owned, and I've liked what I've seen so far. The thing is, he does tend to go down the leg side a bit. Maybe it's part of his plan of bowling into the legs, but he has gotten some key wickets. I think he tries to be economical, so not necessarily searching for the wickets. But I think now with the Lightning losing some players, and they play Essex, who are not really the strongest batting lineup. They don't really have that depth. So I think that the Lightning players, the bowlers, could definitely come to the party. And when you look at my team, I will have another Lightning player later on. So I think that's going to be a key matchup. I give Essex the edge on this matchup, but I think its skill could go either way. It's going to be a tight game. With like was mentioned, the Lightning have lost some key players, and Essex have been good when their batting have clicked. They've been good. So, but Hartley, I think this is the guy that could come trumps here as a differential pick now, because everyone's going to have pretty similar teams. So, everyone's got to get their one or two differentials in that's going to really tip them over the edge. Has Rory gone for his differential?
Absolutely. So I've gone with a player who's currently got 2% ownership in Mason Crane of Hampshire. Now, Crane, at the start of the tournament, so looking at those stats there, he started terribly, for want of a better phrase. He had a tough start on difficult pitches, but he has bowled fantastically in the last few games. I've kept very close eye of Hampshire's progress because they're in such good form with such a long winning streak. I think with pitches starting to get a bit more spinny, he might just get just that bit more interesting because people are going to have to try and take him on with the economy bowling of Liam Dawson, with Nathan Ellis being in excellent form, Chris Wood, very savvy bowler. So Crane could be that man they take on, and I've not seen that go well in latter stages of the Blast in the past. So, yeah, I think Crane could just be a really good pick this week. Looked really solid against Gloucestershire in that Sky game. A lot of ceiling for me. With 2% ownership, got to be worth a go.
Absolutely, Rory. He is a very, very talented leg spin bowler. And to be honest, as a Bears fan, I am a little bit wary, a little bit concerned, to be honest, on that U surface. And it's a hybrid pitch as well. Might I just add, at Edgbaston, I do think Mason Crane could be quite the useful pick for the quarterfinals this week. But talking of interesting picks then, of course, we go on to our final category, which is still my favourite category. Always has been, always will be. And that is, of course, the wild card, the under 100k pick, who you should put in your team almost as a differential, I suppose, heading into the quarterfinals. So, Dino, who have you selected as your wild card heading into this week's round of fixtures?
Yeah, under 100k, guess who it is? Michael Pepper. But he's 28% owned, so he's not a differential. But I'm banking on Pepper because this time around, as the competition gets tight, I've been taking a deep dive into the stats. And against the top three in their group, Pepper has delivered every time in the big games. So I'm thinking this is his time now. They need him against the Lightning. It's just been the same 3 or 4 guys for Essex really just making the runs. So when they click, they get big totals. When they don't get the big totals. So Pepper's been one of the guys that's been holding it together. You see the stats there. Still under 100k, started at around 50, kept going up, and I expect him to keep going up. Will Essex do it? He's got a big part to play. So he really surprised a lot of people with it. He's just got better and better. You see his shot selection has been pretty good as well. So it's not just a one trick guy, and he seems to be developing. He's still just 24 years old, so he's developing on the spot as we see unfolding before our eyes. So I have a feeling Essex can flip this game, and that's why Michael Pepper is going to be my under 100 for this week.
Well, to be honest, Dino, I can't disagree with that selection. Michael Pepper, fantastic player, the Harlow Habanero, as we know him on the County Cricket podcast, just 73k. That is absolutely ridiculous. The value there is tremendous for a player with a 167.21 strike rate. And when I look at his batting, I just think of the word enterprise, innovation, panache, flair, skill, elegance. He's such a fantastic player to watch. So, Michael Pepper, yeah, watch out for him. He's a very, very spicy prospect indeed. And talking of excellent prospects, I have been waiting 9 shows for this guy's name to crop up. And Rory Law, you have delivered in fantastic fashion for this week's show. Who have you selected as your wild card for the quarterfinals?
I've gone with a Birmingham Bears player, as I'm sure you can guess from the introduction, Dan Mousley. He's someone I've not seen much of in the last few weeks. He's only come in recently with Yates being moved out of the side, and he has delivered absolutely fantastically. Fantastic sweep shot on him. Really good player of spin, particularly part-time spin, and 2 really strong innings last week. I think he was one of the players of the week, even though he's obviously very new into the T20 Blast. I think this guy has a really high ceiling. Part-time off spin could be quite useful in the coming weeks. And yeah, just massively impressed with his hitting. Just has a really clean hit on him and really good use of the wrist. So yeah, I think this guy's got a huge amount of potential. I think he could go quite far. And as someone who is as cheap as Mousley, it's not someone I want to be missing out on this week, just in case he has that big knock again.
100%, Rory. He's in my team. Unsurprisingly, Dan Mousley, Mighty Mouse, as we know him in the Midlands, a fantastic young prospect, 66k. Again, we talk about value. That is absolutely ridiculous, to say the least, for someone of his skill and talent and potential. So, yeah, Dan Mousley, if he's not already in your team, and if you don't know who this guy is, Google him. Just watch the sweep shots against Moeen Ali in the derby. He is such a great player to watch. So, yeah, completely in agreement there. No surprises, to be honest, Rory, as the resident Birmingham Bears fan. But aside from our analyst picks, then, let's go on to our penultimate segment for today's show, which is, of course, our Analyst 11s. So, Dino, I'll start with you first, mate. Who have you selected in your starting 11 heading into the quarterfinals?
Well, no surprises for my 11 this week, as you will see it coming up on the screen. But before I just go on the 11, I just wanted to say, as we're coming close to the end of the tournament, I've worked as a performance analyst in the West Indies for a while. I've been fortunate to work with the international teams, the first class teams, and a couple franchises as well. And this is really my first foray into looking at the Vitality Blast. And it's been really an exciting journey, discovering all of these new players, spending time with yourself and Rory and hearing your enthusiasm and your knowledge of the players. It's really sparked my interest. And now that I have to really work and take the deep dive into the stats to get a good, strong finish, I really feel like I'm back working for one of these teams, and these teams all do have analysts with them. And these analysts are mostly stats driven. Well, for those who might not know, the analysts in these teams, they have all the stats. Maybe like Rory, they have access to all sorts of stats, maybe even prediction models. What does it for me personally is the video. These guys will also have video matched up to their stats. And that's what really gives you that extra edge. So if you wanted to see a guy's depth bowling, you have it as well as the stats, And I just wanted to say that most of the Blast games are on YouTube, which has really been helpful because, I don't have that database with me like I would with working with a franchise. I've been, in most regards, casual player, discovering the talent for myself. And yeah, I just want to say now it's the business end. I'm getting serious on this, all right? So let's go. And if you guys have been, doing your research and, share your thoughts and let us know what gives you that extra competitive edge, because we need it, guys. So share those thoughts, all right?
Yeah, we do.
We definitely do. We are taking a beating. The experts, we're taking a beating in the group, but man, it's been such an enjoyable group. But if you pull the team up, it's not going to be no big surprises here. Vince, Smeed, and Madsen, three guys. I think they're in form. They've got this. Their teams need them in the final. We know what they're capable of. There's no need for me to sell it. All right. Rory spoke about Madsen. I've got Musley there too. We spoke about Musley. We spoke about Narayan. Jax is opening the batting. He's a no-brainer. He's probably one of the most picked guys. The one guy I would mention there is Luke Wood. I'm looking for another differential. And I just looked at his technique. I think he's not the tallest pacer in the world, so his trajectory is pretty low. He nails those Yorkers. He gets that little movement that can throw you off. So I've been looking at that matchup. Really, I mentioned it again. The Lightning versus the Eagles is going to be a tight matchup. And I think that the bowling is going to come to the party in that game in particular. Both teams have put big totals on the board. In fact, all of these teams have put big totals on the board this season. And Rory mentioned it, it may swing in the favor of the players. There's things like venue stats come into play, matchups come into play. I'm looking at all of it. I might not say it every week, but oh my God, I don't even know what more to say, because I'm looking at so much information that, Luke Wood comes in. Most of the guys there, you would see Pepper, Harmer, kind of obvious picks. Siddle's been, as soon as Siddle's been available, I've had him, and he's been delivering. I like the experience of Siddle, and I've just taken the risk with Wood and Hartley this week as my differentials from the Lightning, who have lost some key players, and I think now their bowling is really going to have to come in to save them against that Essex team. So maybe a bit of a rant this week, but, it's heating up. The pressure's there. The fire, it's cooking. The pot is boiling. I'm running out of metaphors, so let's go back to Rory.
You know what, Dino? Honestly, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, very, very happy, obviously, as a massive fan of county cricket, to hear that first bit in particular, the fact that the T20 Blast has captured your imagination, as it has with plenty of people. The fact that it's on YouTube, it's free, the quality is fantastic. We've known this for years, and what a celebration of 20 years of the T20 Cup here in England and Wales. So, Dino, a very nice starting 11, a lovely passage for this week's show. And I'll tell you what, I'm just looking at Rory's 11. You have got some stiff competition. So let's bring back the sceptical cricketer. And Rory Law, if I may just say so myself, as the viewers will find out in just a second, your first pick really does make my heart smile. Who have you selected in your starting 11 for this week?
Well, as much as you know that I hate to impress you with Birmingham Bears picks, I can't think of a more perfect opposition for Adam Hose than Hampshire. Two ball players turning the ball away from the bat, which is his speciality, and at that Birmingham pitch. So Adam Hose is in my team alongside Madsen and Will Smead. I've kept the faith with Will Smead. He delivered for me on the other night. That Surrey innings was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue with it at all, to be honest. Dan Mousley, Will Jacks, Sunil Narayan. So I've put Simon Harmer in an all-rounder spot, which I appreciate sounds unusual, but I think it's going to be the time for the bowlers this week. The pitch is getting used, as I said. Simon Harmer in quietly superb form for Essex, and I think that Lancashire batting lineup might struggle. So Simon Harmer is in as my vice-captain. Michael Pepper, the wicket-keeper, again, ball turning away from the bat, good for him. Think he'll go well at Old Trafford. And Mason Crane, my man George Scrimshaw, and one of the most underrated players, I think, in T20 cricket at the moment, Gus Atkinson, who's playing against a very weakened Yorkshire batting lineup, takes a lot of wickets at key points and keeps the runs down. And I would probably, I'm not even sure I'd have him that far off an England squad, personally, with some of the pace bowling options we've got available. So Gus Atkinson, quiet picks, do brilliantly as well. And yeah, pretty well balanced side. There's lots of teams in play. Obviously, no Lancashire, as I said. I'm backing Essex, and past that, bit of flexibility each way.
Fair enough, Rory. And yeah, obviously some lovely picks in there. Will Smead, what a talent. Honestly, what a player. Some of the shots again. You bowl it on the leg side, it's getting dispatched, isn't it? 4 or 6 pretty much every single time. And obviously, Michael Pepper, Gus Atkinson. He's becoming quite the dark horse on our show, isn't he?
I've been touting him for a while as being a very strong player. And it's one of the few times where, you know, when I say someone's going to be good, like Aaron Lilly, and they're good, but they're too late good. I've been saying all tournament that Gus Atkinson's going to go well, and he's quietly gone very, very well given the phases that he bowls. And I think against that Yorkshire side, some death wickets could go, could go quite well for him.
They could indeed, Rory. And yeah, I'd completely agree. He's been a fantastic replacement given Jordan Clark's hamstring injury. You know, he came in as a result of Clark's injury, and he's been a revelation, just quietly simmering beneath the surface as Gus Atkinson. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And obviously all 4 games are going to be absolutely fantastic. But aside from our Analyst 11s then, of course, to wrap up the show, unfortunately, we don't have the Oracle here for the prediction. Chris Dixon is, what's he, away in Ibiza? Or in the Balearic Islands somewhere?
An island of some sort that was sunny.
Yeah, exactly. Living life and partying instead of being here with the boys. But in Chris's absence, I'm going to take it back to show one where I did the prediction. And I'm just looking at those 2 teams. Both very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. But one thing tips it for me this week. And that is the inclusion of Adam Hose. So the Cricket Connoisseur's prediction for this week, I think that Rory Law is going to get more points as a result of Adam Hose. Will it happen? Who knows? Dino, I'm guessing you're in disagreement with that because it's your team.
I'm going to pick Lintott now just because you said that. I'm going to try to get him in.
I could be swayed.
I wasn't impressed by Linsanity the other night. I was more impressed with Ollie Stone. So maybe that's the pick. Who knows?
Maybe that's just the key to my predictions. Whoever's got more Bears players, to be completely honest. But honestly, that is going to be a fantastic little sideshow, isn't it, between you two? Who will come out in top? We need a trophy or something, don't we, to be honest, ahead of finals day to give away whoever came out on top in the most shows. But of course, aside from that little sideshow, the quarterfinals are going to be absolutely exceptional. Box office, brilliant, phenomenal, exceptional, whatever adjective or superlative you want to describe them as, the T20 Blast quarterfinals always deliver. And of course, you can find a couple of them on YouTube. I know the Bears, the Bears game, I'm pretty sure it's going to be live on YouTube. I don't think it's on Sky. So again, just a little piece of advice. You can find that for free on Thursday, the 7th of July. But yeah, very, very much looking forward to what should be a fantastic round of fixtures in this year's quarterfinals. But that is essentially it from us three here at the County Cricket Podcast for tonight's T20 Blast preview show. To each and every single one of you wonderful viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.